Good morning.
So Scott, I'm going to start recording these sessions because they're basically for the consultants. Your sessions are so motivational, and they're for the consultants and providers that see, multitude of patients daily, and your stories are so pertinent for them. We missed a lot of great material that you've already presented. But I've got people around the organization that also want to listen. So if you don't mind if I record these.
Totally fine. You can do whatever you want.
And I forget the topic today. Was it teamwork, Scott?
Teamwork. Yes.
So we have somebody in the West Des Moines office that has said to me since day one, 10 years ago, teamwork makes the dream work.
Love it.
But I think we can go ahead and get started. I think just about everybody is on. Do you have anybody else joining, Caitlin?
I don't even see, where is Casey?
Caitlin's right there.
Oh,
Okay, it's all yours, Scott.
Okay. Before I launch in, and you guys know how I just love to talk. Actually not. We're going to do something that's a little bit different today. I want you guys to take a moment, and this will be audience participation. I want you to think of characteristics of what characteristics or qualities make up a good team. I want you to jot a couple of those down, and we're going to share a couple, and I'm actually going to write down what you guys say and make sure that I touch on some of those things. So
We're
take
muted.
a moment. What are qualities or
Characteristics that make a good team.
of a good team?
Ability to get
I
along.
don't want to assume that everybody's been a
Go.
part of a team, and when I think of teams, I automatically think of sports teams, but you guys are a part of a team in your business.
Yes.
So that's a team in itself, New Leaf. So take a moment, characteristics of a good or qualities of a good team, and then we'll take a moment to share out, and then we'll launch in.
I could add the Jeopardy music.
10-second warning. Shot clock. Okay. Who would like to start off? In fact, I'm not going to call on people. That's weird. I don't know all of you, so we'll just go around and you guys can fire off at will. I'm going to write down some qualities and characteristics of good teams.
Communication, having good communication. Respect.
Honesty. Diversity.
Did I hear honesty?
Mm-hmm.
Diversity?
Integrity.
never heard of Hercules.
Say it louder.
Oh, integrity.
Integrity.
Oh, thank you.
Invested.
Like that one.
Okay.
Specific to us would be a patient care focus.
Yes.
Good job, Caitlin.
That's a great list. Okay, we're in good shape. When we're talking about teamwork and you guys have that solid foundation, I think we're in really good shape. have any of you been part of or would consider yourself to be part of a bad team?
Mm-hmm. Ever? Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
No? Yeah, audience participation.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes. So I've been part of great teams. As a coach, I've had wonderful teams, and I've had really bad teams. I remember a season, I probably remember it most vividly, was a season I went 0-20, 0 wins. And you guys know my philosophy on wins and losses. A win can be a loss and a loss can be a win. And the scoreboard doesn't say, if you're a winner or a loser. But an 0-20 season.
That kind of makes
And
a
I thought
statement.
about that, and I often think about that. And I think that season in itself was more motivating than some of the best seasons I've had. And the reason is after an 0-20 season, you really have to figure out or do some soul searching and say, what's going on? Am I doing something wrong, or did I just have a really, really bad team? And being a high school coach, you don't necessarily get to, you do have tryouts and things like that, but you don't have the luxury of recruiting and going out and getting the blue chippers. You have the kids that come through, and every once in a while you get a bunch that are wonderful, absolutely incredible athletes and talents, and then sometimes you don't. So, but sometimes I say that because sometimes when you're having a rough time or things aren't going well, it's a good motivational time for you to look at who you are, what your core values are, and really re-examine what you're doing. And I think that's a really good piece. And I want to share something with you. When I think of teamwork, something that myself and all of my coaches did for 25 years of my coaching, we did something, and this might be something that New Leaf does, or in pockets, or in small groups, or maybe collectively as a large group. We did an exercise called Start, Stop, Continue. And every year before the season started, we would say, what do we want to do differently? What do we want to start doing this year? What are some things that weren't productive in previous years? And those would be the things that we would stop. And then what has been working, and what do we want to continue? And we used to call that a constant evaluation. And there were things even within the season that we would take a time out, maybe over winter break, and say, what are we doing well as a team, as coaches, as individuals, as players, I talk to different groups. What are we doing well? What do we want to continue? Are there things that we want to do differently? Are there things that we want to start? Okay. And are we doing things that are hurting us, or that are not making us the most productive that we can, team that we can be? Meaning, what should we stop? Constant evaluation. I always say, the great teams, they don't just keep doing things to do things. They keep doing the right things. They keep doing things that are making them successful. But they're also not stagnant, and they're not just set in their way. They're not afraid to step out and try something new. I think that, the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it, is a great saying, but sometimes you could be left behind if you're not trying to push the envelope, or you're trying to continue to get better in every aspect of your game. At the core of teamwork, I think, and this is my definition, so I'm going to read my definition. At the core of teamwork, it can be simplified to a group of like-minded individuals that are united by shared goals and responsibilities to achieve the best possible outcome or task. Now, when you start a team, a business, a company, whatever. It's just a collection of individuals. It's not a team right off the bat. It takes time. You have to figure out who you are. You have to identify what your goals are. You have to figure out, who's going to do what. There's a hierarchy of things. And I think that until you identify all of those things, it's going to be really hard to be a successful team. Coach K, I wouldn't have a talk without a quote from Coach K. He defined teamwork as 5 becoming 1. And he used an analogy where he would use 5 fingers becoming a fist. And each finger by itself is pretty weak, right? Like if you were to push on one finger, forward, back, it's pretty weak. But when 5 come together as one, it becomes more powerful. And those 5 things that he talked about in his fist analogy were communication, trust, collective responsibility, caring, and pride. And a lot of those were the qualities that you guys talked about, which was awesome. And I think that the first one is effective teamwork begins with communication. If you have poor communication, it's going to be almost impossible to have a solid team. If you can't talk about what's going on that's good, what's going on that's bad, and you don't have that communication, it's going to be real tough to have a successful team. Trust is the second one. Okay, I would say that trust in an organization is paramount. And if your leaders or the people that are leading a team don't trust the teammates, or the teammates or the players don't trust the leader, it's really, really impossible for everybody to be on the same page and be focused on the same goals. Collective responsibility is just that. Not everybody is the coach, not everybody is the leader, not everybody is the star, but we have collective responsibility in what our role is on the team. And that means that some people are in the background. Some people are the ones that will be the star. Some people don't even get into the game. They're practice players. And I think that having that collective responsibility and knowing where you fit on that team is really, really important. Caring, when you care about your teammates and you care about your organization, that's huge. Okay, that means you're invested. And then that goes into pride in who you are, pride in what you represent. And that goes way beyond a win or a loss. Okay? How many of you read Boys in the Boat? Nobody? Okay, write that down. This could be probably the most influential book in teamwork that you would ever read. And I would say this would be a great team building exercise. I've had basketball teams. We've read, high school boys don't read a lot, so I read a chapter to them or we do excerpts. But this would be an incredible book study. Now, I'm just going to give you, I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin the book, but this book takes place here in Washington State primarily. And that's probably why it's a huge book for me, maybe not so much for those of you in the Midwest. It takes place in a small town where the main character comes from a small town where my grandfather grew up, in Sequim, Washington. And it's about, obviously, boys in a boat, rowers that come from the University of Washington And in 1936, and those of you that know history, that's prior to World War II. Hitler is on the rise. The Nazi regime is becoming this war machine, and they are said to have the best athletes. And this little crew from the University of Washington that's put together lumberjacks, wheat farmers. It's the American dream, and these were not boys that were seen as traditional rowers. They ended up having to, battle just to make the varsity boat, and then battle all of the traditional powerhouses in the United States, and most of those come from back east. And they won the chance to go and represent the United States in the 1936 Olympics. And what an incredible story. And what I love about the book and what I love about the story is how the author takes each person and talks about who they are, where they came from, and how they fit into the team. And the coach had to experiment. There's different seats in a boat, and not everybody plays the same role, and you have to move people around and figure out where everybody's strengths are. Are you a seat 1 or are you a seat 4? And they talk about all those things and experimenting with all those groups, but when they found the perfect fit and they had the right pieces in the place, they talked about being in the swing. And being in the swing is something that I told my players, when we're flowing on the basketball court, we're in the swing, where everybody is clicking and we're all functioning as one. The swing in rowing is where the boat, because oars go into the water, oars come out of the water. There's no jerkiness. Everything is fluid and it's all forward momentum. And it's just it's art in motion. And what a wonderful example of true teamwork. So write that down, Boys in the Boat. Book study for New Leaf. It's awesome. You guys will love it. All right. Sorry about that rant on a book, but it's huge when it comes to teamwork, okay? So I would say that leadership, any good team has to have a strong leader, okay? On a basketball team, that leader is the coach. In a business, is that the CEO? Are there leaders at each step of the way? Who are those leaders? Do those leaders do they have the investment? That was one of the things that somebody said that I really liked. Invested interest. Have those leaders captured what this business is all about, and have they identified those things and has everybody bought in? Okay. I think that an effective leader must be vulnerable. And when I say vulnerable, they must be able to be seen as human. They must be able to make difficult decisions and stand by those decisions, but they must also have constant evaluation on themselves, where they go to their team and say, what am I doing well? What are we doing well? And what do we need to change? Because until a leader is vulnerable and doesn't change or show that they can change, I think that there's not going to be 100% investment from everybody involved. I think that people want to be part of a team. People want to be part of a winning team. And it's not just because they want to win, it's because they want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And when a group of individuals, come together as a fist, and they realize what their potential is, and they look at who they are and what they can become, I think that's something powerful. And when you become part of something, that's the investment. And that's where you feel like this is bigger than just me. And you're willing to do something that's, maybe you thought previously was below you, because this is part of being part of the team. And then when everybody starts doing that, nothing is below them, and then the ceiling becomes even higher. And I think that's a critical piece, is understanding that the potential of a collective group of people is much better than individuals trying to do their own thing. So having said that, building teamwork, I gave you a book, okay? Doing some things where there's like-minded goals, even as simple as reading a book and then sharing what you took from that book and what you could take away and apply to your team. We talked about last time having fun. I think in my counseling office here at school, we have fun, and that makes us a great team. We celebrate birthdays. We do fun activities. We have challenge tasks. We have lots of different things that make us a strong team. So all that said, I'd like to loop back to the constant evaluation. And this would be something I'd love for you to take away as well. If there's not constant evaluation in self or in team, you're going to stay stagnant. And for your team to be as strong as it can be and be as productive as it should be, there needs to be constant evaluation. And it's as simple as in small groups or collectively as a team on a meeting like this, doing that activity of start, stop, and continue. What are things that we need to start doing that's going to make us more productive? What are we going to stop doing because it's not leading to any kind of productivity? And what are things that we're doing well that we need to continue? And as a leader, whomever, I don't know all of the leaders. I know that Lynn, she kind of set this up. I don't know if that means Lynn's the big cheese there, the head boss, but leaders need to listen for the heart. Listen for what people are saying, and don't fear change. Because if you fear change, you're probably going to be shutting the door on some positive things that could lead to bigger and better things. Be willing to talk about hard things. Be willing to listen. Okay, it doesn't mean that you always have to cave and do what everybody says, but be willing to listen and be willing to make changes that are going to be in the best benefit of the team. That's all I have. I'd love to take any questions, or maybe I'd love to hear what you guys think about the start, stop, continue, or how that might even work in your, because I know you're at different campuses or branches, how you might even do that.
I think that's a big part of what we've done, evaluating. We are different, 5 different locations, but really looking at exactly that on what is working well, of course, what is not, and what we need to continue doing, what was successful. I mean, we probably as a management team, we're looking at that, on a monthly, but certainly on a quarterly basis of really looking at what's working, whether it's a program from the medical side, if it's an administrative process of what we're doing. So I think very, very powerful.
Wonderful.
Do you have any suggestions? You talked about the boys in the boat, reading that. How do you suggest as far as a group like this to be able to kind of go over it together, I guess? What would be your suggestion? I've never done that before. Very interested in it. What would be your suggestions of kind of steps as we, walk through the book and be able to walk through it together and have discussions kind of like this?
Yeah, no, I've been part of several book studies or book clubs, and they've all been different. And I've done them with friends, and that's really casual. And then I've done them with the school, and then I've done them with teams. So depending on what the team wants to do, it really can be as simple as, hey, let's read the first 4 chapters, and then in our next meeting, let's just highlight our takeaways and focus on teamwork. If that is, and you can have some themes where you're reading with a lens of teamwork, of camaraderie, of bringing together like-minded individuals, and what examples did they see. One of the great things about that book is there's so many things, but every chapter starts with a quote. And you can even go as far as to, starting with, hey, which one of the 4 chapters, which quote did you like the best? And go from there. And that's really a launching point to, discussion starters. So.
Sure. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else?
I'd like to hear from the providers what might be other topics that Scott can kind of enlighten us, open us up to. Remind me of everything we've done, Scott. We've done goals, teamwork, happiness.
Yeah, I've lost track of everything. I can look back to my notes. One thing before I go, and you guys will have to help me on this one. Somebody said that a quality or characteristic of a good team was diversity. Which group said that? Okay.
I did.
Yeah. Wonderful. Love that. Now, when I look at the screen here, I see people that look very much like me. And in education, this is something that we have really worked on. Where I live, in the school that I teach at, we don't have a ton of diversity. And so that means that I have to work to make sure that I'm reaching out to different groups so that I can connect with them. Looking at the screen here, I see maybe the same thing. Lack of diversity, and that's not. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that might be something that we talk about also. Is how that we work to connect and make sure that we are being open to and identifying with lots of different folks. So I thought that was a great piece. Whoever said that, I love that. Diversity, okay, that's going to make you a stronger team, no doubt. So yeah, you guys think of some topics. I love doing this. It's my summer break, but I got up early and came into work, and yeah, enjoy being here, enjoy being with you guys, and hope that these are helpful.
Love these.
Yes, we love them.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
thank you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to get the feedback. Yeah, and hopefully that, this is a springboard to other conversations that you guys have. So, all right. I will turn you guys free and have a great day and great rest of your month.
Okay, thank
You too,
you.
Scott.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Um,